Hello, this is Dear, and welcome to another video. Today we're reading another couple chapters of Hermitcraft, the terrible price. Yeah, this is going to be chapter 3 and maybe chapter 4. I think we're going to be ending at chapter 4, but probably a reason why, but anyway. If you guys haven't read the first couple of chapters, be sure to go back and do so. The playlist is in the description if you do want to check it out. I would recommend it because, yeah, the story it's got to build from somewhere, so, yeah, you gotta know what's been going on, and, yeah, for those of you who don't know about what I'm leading up to, don't worry about it too much, just enjoy the story. It will be explained later, a little bit later, I don't know. Just don't worry about it right now. Just enjoy the story for what it is. And, yeah. Let's get started, shall we? Yeah. If you have any theories and ideas of what you think might be going on, be sure to leave it down in a comment. Or just let me know how you think of it so far. You never know. Anyway, chapter 3. Mumbo wasn't sure how long he'd been down here in the room. Not that it mattered. He'd managed to scoot himself to one of the barrels as he used his momentum to push himself up against a wall. Now sitting, as he glanced over at the door. Perhaps 10 minutes at least. There's no door, it's just a stairwell. I don't know what I'm talking about here. Meaning the two men were probably long gone, going back to wherever Mr. A was to report to him with their findings. And the hermit managed to boost himself a little, now having his back facing the barrel as he attempted to open it. He groaned for a minute before giving up on that. He grabbed for the bottom of the barrel with his hands and attempted to heave it onto its side. It took a couple of tries before he accomplished it, smiling at himself to see that for once his two brain cells were working together. He scooted over to the lid of the barrel and opened it with his hand as the item poured out, finding something sharp as he grabbed it, attempting to use it to cut the ropes binding his wrists together. It wasn't an easy feat, as he constantly dropped a sharp piece of metal from his hand, having to go find it again, looking over his shoulder to see if he could locate it. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of fumbling, he managed to undo some of the rope, finally able to pull it off his wrist as it fell to the ground. The hermit slowly got to his feet, his eyes moving over to where the vault door used to be. Mumbo walked across the room, looking into the other room, to find a huge mega supercomputer. It's the only thing inside, along with a few gadgets, a way to input questions onto a piece of paper and put it into a system, along with a couple of speakers. His attempt to train something out. The screen of the rusty supercomputer was completely dark. No longer the happy face greeting him anytime he walked in. The control system looked to be smashed, tampered with, especially where Craner probably had taken the code of the machine. As the hermit swallowed, approaching it. Grandma, are you still in there? Mumbo attested, part of him hoping that the men hadn't taken everything. It's okay to come out of hiding now. They're gone. Nothing. The screen remained dark. There was no sign of life. No flashing lights. No beeping noises. There wasn't anything here. Grandpa was gone. Mumbo took a slow, shaky breath as he went to the back of the supercomputer and looked behind it, seeing the cables and machinery were still there. Everything was in place, apart from the front control panel. I'll find you, I promise, Mumbo whispered, a lump forming in his throat as he looked up at the screen. The machine before turning away, unable to look on any longer as he left the room, heading for the stairs, hoping he'd find something of use up there. The men had stolen his only communicator, so he'd have to find his escort and borrow his. What if his escort wasn't here, though? What if the men had taken him, or worse, took care of him permanently? The hermit shook his head. He didn't want to think of that, as he climbed the stairs, keeping his eyes forward in the incredibly dim hallway, most of the lights having come from the secret door ahead. He made it to the top of the stairs. He pushed the secret door open, loud piston noises drowning out any sound that could be around the place. Alas, When he looked around, stepping back into the hallway once more, there was silence. Mumbo called out for his escort, hoping he'd respond in some way as he entered the main room. Looking over to the mechanism on the far wall. Was there any point in using it? The men were gone. They had taken what they had come for. He wasn't in any danger. Well, at least not yet. Pretty soon they would all be in great danger. He needed to warn the others. The hermit pulled back the curtains, obscuring the view from the outdoors, as light poured into the mid-morning sun. Light poured in. The mid-morning sun, obscured by a dark, gloomy gray cloud. The hermit blinked, not able to spot his escort anywhere. The feeling of unease filled him. Surely Mr. A wouldn't have leave him here on his own and risk him telling the others before he would ready to enact his plan, right? Especially if he saw him as a threat. Did he? The hermit walked over to the front door and pushed it open. Calling out for his escort again, met with silence once more. Mumbo left the safety of his base and pulled on his elytra wings, feeling it to be better to go somewhere safer than to risk being here on his own, in case Mr. A sent more of his men after him, or, worse, the Eliminators. The hermit shuddered as he grabbed his rockets, looking back once more, hoping he'd see his escort, and he's sighing that he might be okay. He didn't have any time to look for him, and see if he could find him. He needed to report to one of the cause members that something really bad had happened. He knew his escort would understand. He had to. It was a life-or-death situation. The hermit braced himself as he fired his rockets, launching up into the sky as he dared not look down, not wanting to know if anyone malicious had spotted him taking off. He adjusted his flight as he aimed for the place he knew would be safe. For a short time, as he glided across the sky, the wind pushing past his ears, focused on the task at hand. Chapter 4. That was 7 minutes of awesomeness. Mumbo could see the base up ahead, noting a new wall that was being constructed as he flew over it, landing on the ground as he glanced around him warily. He had no way of knowing if Green was here, but he couldn't exactly call him up right now and check. He knew his friend had at least a few spare communicators he could borrow if it came down to it. Well, I didn't expect to see you today, a voice replied behind him, as the hermit nearly jumped out of his skin as he turned to see Gaiden approaching him. A clear sign that Green was probably here somewhere. The man's apologetic smile was reassuring now. You're getting good at sneaking up on people, Mumbo chuckled as he stood up straight. Thank you, the cause member nodded. I didn't see an escort come in with you. Do you know where he is? Not really, no, Mumbo sighed, shaking his head. Do you know where Green might be? I have something urgent I need to tell him, and, well, you too. He's around the corner, currently working on the wall. Gaiden pointed by him. I only came here because I heard someone come flying in. Mumbo nodded as he thanked the cause member. He walked quickly to where the man had pointed. Sure enough, when he rounded the corner, he could see Green working on part of the wall as he caught up with him. Hey, G. Oh, hi, Green replied, looking up as he saw his friend approach. He put down one final part of a section as they dropped down from the wall. What do you think of this? Think you could hold back an invasion? Yeah, probably, Mumbo agreed. Does mean you actually have to finish the back for ultimate security. Yeah. Green giggled with a mischievous smile. So, what brings you here? Just bored? I wish, Mumbo sighed, looking over at his friend as he said it. Seeing you're up for a little break while Kate, and I go inside for chat? I don't know why I said it like that. I'm not sure I like the sound of that, Green admitted, reluctantly, as he looked behind the hermit. Probably spotting Kate nearby. Is everything okay? Come on, I'll explain inside, Mumbo said calmly, hoping it would reassure his friend, or at least give him a false assurance that everything was okay. Sorry, I'm spoiling. The other hermit reluctantly agreed, following him into the base as Caden closed the door behind them. Mumbo, you're starting to scare me a little bit, Green admitted, as the other hermit gestured for his friend to sit down. Is everything okay? Why are you being so secretive? It's a long story, Mumbo admitted slowly, taking a seat as well as he noticed Caden by the door, listening. I was ambushed by Mr. A's men in my base again. What? How? Green gasped. I thought you fortified your base to stop that from happening. I did, but they must have found a weak spot. I got the sniffies. Mumbo shrugged. They found something Mr. A wanted to get his hands on, and, well, there wasn't much I could do to stop them. What about your escort? Green asked quickly. I don't know where he is. The men would have dealt with him before coming inside. There were 2 of them at least, Mumbo sighed. Something you need to know that I haven't told the entire truth about. Mumbo, Green started, but Mumbo put up a hand to stop him, and the other hermit went quiet, fidgeting in his seat, nervously. The hermit couldn't blame him. What he had to say wasn't good news. You remember Grimbot? Mumbo asked, calmly, keeping his dark eyes locked onto his face. Of course I do. He was meant to be our way for you to win the mayoral race several years back. Grant said quickly. That is until he got out of control. Mumbo nodded, looking away from his friend as the memory flooded back to him. Scar had won the mayoral race by a landslide, and Grimbot wasn't having it. When the 2 of them had told him of the results, he went into a straight-on meltdown, setting attacks to anyone who was connected to Scar and the hermit himself. Mumbo had no choice but to shut Grimbot down before he seriously hurt anyone. I thought he destroyed him, so it won't happen again. Grant said quietly, breaking the silence. I couldn't, Grant. I couldn't do it, Mumbo admitted with a heavy sigh as tears filled his eyes. I managed to reboot him and try to reprogramming him to see if I could fix the problem, but I couldn't bear to destroy him. He's your son. Honestly, I would have done the same. Grant agreed sympathetically. I've been keeping him in a hidden vault under my base for years, taking care of him and upgrading him, Mumbo explained, keeping him company so that he wouldn't be alone. He's been asking for you numerous times, but I couldn't risk asking you to come down with me, for fear word might get out. I wouldn't tell anyone, Green said quickly. How did they know about him anyway? They found some notes in your storage system, Mumbo replied blandly. Really? Green asked, almost in disbelief, as he looked over at Caden for a moment. He was still observing the returning hermit. They found it in there? That's what he told me, Mumbo sighed. He cleared his throat, after a moment, getting to the point of why he was here. Mr. A has him, Grant. He wants to use Grimbot to upgrade his eliminator to hurt more innocent people, making it indestructible. No. The hermit's eyes widened in horror as Mumbo only nodded solemnly. Do you think it might work? I don't know. Hermit sighed. Mr. A seems to have a plan in mind, which means no one's safe. Grant nodded, looking over at Caden. I guess this calls for an immediate lockdown? We can certainly look into it, see if we can find anything, Caden replied simply. I don't have the power to call for a total lockdown, however. You can request it, but it can't call for it. Do whatever you can to tell the others to be on their guard, Mumbo said firmly. The escort nodded, reassuring him as he would as he disappeared, leaving the 2 hermits alone in the room. How much of that glitch were you able to fix? Green asked quietly. I took away any ability to send in attacks, unless Mr. A can find a way to revert that, Mumbo replied. He still has his thoughts, feelings, and emotions, though. We had several long conversations over the years trying to sort those out. So he's safe? Green breast. Grimbot is. Well, the Grimbot I programmed, Mumbo added. Mr. A probably has other plans, and I fear he might ruin any progress I did have. I was trying to find a way he could help us. Another way without having to destroy him. I was so close. We'll find him, and we'll help him, Green said calmly as he stood, crossing the room before putting his hand on his friend's shoulder. If you believe there's still hope, then so will I. I don't have much of a choice, Mumbo replied, looking down at his feet. I just hope he's strong enough to fight back anything that man might try to do. Me too, Green said gently as the other hermit looked up at his friend. So, you're not mad at me? He asked quietly. No, Green reassured him with a smile, squeezing his shoulder before letting up. None of the hermits will be either, I'm sure of it. How? Grandpa did try to go hard on get Scar, even when he was forced... enough where he was forced to resign for his safety. I don't think Scar even remembers that, and even if they did, I'm sure it'll be fine. Gritty excited, as a frown formed on his face as he pulled out his communicator, looking down at it for a moment. Gran? Mumbo asked wearily, seeing the look on his friend's face. His face had gone 3 shades paler as he pocketed the device and ran toward the kitchen, calling for Caden. What is it? Caden said quickly, his voice muffled through the walls. Mumbo got to his feet and walked over. I think Mr. A is starting his attack, Green said quickly. Scar's in trouble. Scar? Now? Mumbo asked, alarmed as he tightened his straps on his wings. We need to go, Green said quickly, as he grabbed his rockets from his pocket. He ran for the front door. Gran, wait! Mumbo called out as he chased after his friend, looking back as Caden pocketed the communicator, going after the 2 hermits. Green launched off into the sky as Mumbo followed suit, not wanting to leave his friend's side. But as the story is a little bit different, I have the liberty to explore whatever I want. And in this case, the mayoral race did happen, but nobody was elected mayor. Dog catcher? Maybe. Not mayor. Yeah, that whole idea was scrapped, so there was no mayor arc, there was no king arc, there was no mycelium resistance. There was just a little bit of fun that went too far, and they didn't want a chance again. I don't know. That's the story that I imagine. It's a little bit different between the other seasons, which is kind of what I wanted. I wanted to go in a different direction. So, yeah. This Grimbot was different than the other one in some way. Like, he had a meltdown after he learned that Mumbo wasn't mayor. Like, yeah, had no purpose. But, yeah, instead of having an existential crisis, he, that meltdown turned into rage and anger. And, yeah, just something, there was a little glitch. And whether or not it had been somebody messing with Grubbot in the past or something, I don't know. That's a story for another day that I probably won't tell. Because I don't need to tell it. You guys can imagine whatever you want, because the story is a little bit different. And, like I said, it's not canon to any of Hermitcraft, so we can't really say it's an alternate universe Grubbot. And it's definitely not Grubbot Prime. So, yeah. It's going to be probably out after the whole arc happens, and I don't know what's going to happen. As you can clearly see from the date, I don't know what's going to happen, so don't get mad at me if stuff don't go according to what you know, because this isn't the same story. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one, whenever that might be. Part 3.